History happening in South Beach. Former President Donald Trump walking out of a federal courthouse. He's pleading not guilty to 37 charges surrounding the mishandling of classified documents. President Trump is the first former president to face federal criminal charges. He gave his supporters a smile and a thumbs up when he arrived today. Right now, we're live following the former president, and we'll soon see him in New Jersey. That's where he's going to actually give a campaign speech tonight. Let's look live outside of the courthouse now, where people have gathered throughout the day, some holding flags saying they are standing with the former president. Others holding signs saying, "Lock him up."
Country has been brainwashed from the biggest con, and he has a cult following now.
These people here are accusing him of, things that he didn't do, and we support our president.
Thank you so much for joining us at 5 o'clock. I'm Jasmine Brooks. A lot to get to tonight. President Trump has been using this as a campaign event, just speaking to supporters at a Cuban restaurant.
We have a rigged country. We have a country that's corrupt. We have a country that's got no borders. We have a country that's got nothing but problems.
We're going to start with CBS News' Chelsea Jones tonight, live in Miami outside the courthouse.
Former president is facing federal charges. A senior aide does tell CBS News that initially Trump was angry and somber about this indictment. Now he's defiant but confident. Former President Donald Trump stopped at a Miami area restaurant following his arraignment on felony charges.
We have a country that's got nothing but problems. We're a nation in decline, and then they do this stuff.
Earlier, a lawyer for the former president entered a plea of not guilty to all 37 counts. He is accused of illegally retaining classified documents, storing them at his Mar-a-Lago home, and conspiring to hide them from the government after it subpoenaed him to get them back.
What we are witnessing today is the blatant and unapologetic weaponization of the criminal justice system.
We love Trump! We love Trump!
Supporters and protesters brought their opinions of the case.
This whole country has been brainwashed.
Sad day in America.
While this is one of several investigations into Trump, this is the first time the Justice Department has brought charges against a former president. In announcing the indictment Friday, special counsel Jack Smith maintained the case is not politically motivated.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
Trump, who is the current frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination, has seen his poll numbers go up since his indictment. Trump is in the air. He is no longer in Miami, but before he left, we do know that he stopped at a popular Cuban restaurant here, Versailles. He is expected to give a speech at his golf club back in New Jersey. We're live in Miami. Back to you.
All right, Chelsea Jones, thank you. The former president and Republicans have called the case potentially motivated, politically motivated, and the Biden administration is refuting those allegations. The White House press secretary saying the current president is not weaponizing the Department of Justice.
The president has been very, very clear. The Department of Justice is independent. He wants to restore the independence of the Department of Justice, and that's what you have seen. That is why we have been very, very consistent. When it comes to criminal cases, we just do not comment.
A separate special counsel is looking into President Biden and classified documents that were found at his home and former office. Legal experts say the trial may not happen anytime soon and that Trump's legal team will likely attempt to slow walk the process. A former National Security Chief Secretary says the evidence sharing process with the former president's defense team could take up to a year. National correspondent Christine Frizzau continues our team coverage with a closer look at the other strategies the president could use.
And so it begins. Former President Donald Trump prosecuted on 37 counts in a federal court in Miami. And while we now know what those counts are, deep questions remain about how he'll fight back. His former attorney arguing some of the prosecutors in this case are tainted.
What I have personally seen is that this prosecution team has repeatedly disregarded their ethical obligations and the rules.
Tim Parlatore says the case against Trump could be subject to dismissal, or at least those he says engaged in wrongdoing could be disqualified if his team can show prosecutorial misconduct, as he alleges occurred with a witness.
They said, look, we know that you applied to become a judge. If you want that application to be looked upon favorably, you're going to need to tell your client to do what we want.
And while it's impossible to know how any defense will be interpreted by a judge, the court of public opinion already weighing in. A new ABC News Ipsos poll finds more Americans say former President Trump should be charged in this case, but more also believe the latest charges are politically motivated. Some legal experts say while the current case against the former president may be the strongest, it's also part of a long line of legal trouble, from the investigation into ties between the Trump campaign and Russia to impeachments and the recent New York hush money case.
Bragg came up with the worst, weakest indictment that I've seen in 60 years of practicing criminal law against the man running for president, against his leader.
Still, others abandoning their loyalty for this legal matter.
He was totally wrong that he had the right to have those documents. Those documents are among the most sensitive secrets, and he kept them in a way at Mar-a-Lago that anyone who really cares about national security their stomach would churn.
Now, special counsel Jack Smith has asked for this to be a speedy trial. Whether that happens, though, will largely depend on Donald Trump and his legal team moving ahead. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
When you look at the poll numbers, President Trump is still leading the pack of GOP candidates. According to a CBS News poll, 62% of voters say he can beat President Biden. But Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott are creeping up behind him with 50% and 20% support, respectively. Other candidates, like former Vice President Mike Pence and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, they are polling at 18% or below. We will have more team coverage of the Trump arraignment throughout the night.